Section 22. VAIYAKHEL. And Moshe gathered together all the congregation of the sons of Israel, and said to them, These are the things which the Lord hath commanded to be done. 6 days thou shalt do work, and on the 7th day there shall be to you the holy Sabbath of repose before the Lord. Whoever doeth work on the Sabbath day, dying he shall die by the casting of stones. My people of the sons of Israel, ye shall not kindle a fire in any place of your habitations on the day of the Sabbath. Jerusalem. Ye shall not kindle a fire in any place of the house of your dwelling on the Sabbath day. And Moshe spake to all the assembly of the children of Israel, saying, This is the word which the Lord hath commanded, saying, Take of you a separation before the Lord. Whosoever is moved in his heart, let him present the separation for the Lord, gold, or silver, or brass, or hyacinth, or purple, or scarlet, or fine linen, or goat's hair, or ram's skins dyed red, or skins of seals, purple skins, and woods of citta, or oil for the lights, aromatics for the anointing oil, and sweet incense, the onyx stones, and stones for completing the enchasement of the ephod and the breastplate. And let all the wise-hearted among you give and make all that the Lord hath commanded. The tabernacle, its tent, and its covering, its hasps, and its boards, its bars, and its pillars, and its bases. Jerusalem. The tabernacle, and its tent, and its covering, its hasps, and boards, and its bars, its pillars, and its bases. The ark, with its staves, and the mercy seat, and the veil for the covering, and the table, and its staves, and all its vessels, and the bread for the presence, and the candelabrum for illumination, with the lamps, and the oil for the light, and the altar of sweet incense, and its staves, and the anointing oil, and the sweet incense, and the curtain for the door of the tabernacle of ordinance, the altar of burnt offering, and its brassen grate, with its staves, and its vessels, and the laver, with its base, and the curtains of the court, with its pillars, and bases, and the hanging for the gate of the court, and the pins of the tabernacle, and the pins of the court, and their cords, the vestments of ministration, for ministering in the sanctuary, and the holy vestments for Aaron the priest, and the vestments of his sons for ministering. And all the congregation of the sons of Israel went out from before Moshe, and every man whose heart moved him, and every one who was filled with the spirit of prophecy, came and brought what he had for a separation before the Lord, for the work of the tabernacle of ordinance, and for all its service, and for the holy vestments. And with the men came the women, every one whose heart was moved, and brought chains, and necklaces, rings, bracelets, and every ornament of gold, every one offering up the offering of gold before the Lord. And every one with whom was found hyacinth, or purple, or crimson, or fine linen, goat's hair, or purple skins, brought the separation before the Lord. And all with whom were found woods of citta for all the work of the service brought. And every woman whose heart was wise spun with her hands, and brought the spun work of hyacinth, and purple, and crimson, and fine linen. And all the women whose hearts were moved in wisdom spun goat's hair, while upon the bodies, and sheared them, being alive. And the clouds of heaven went to the Thisson, and drew up from thence onyx stones, and stones for infilling, to enchase the ephod and the breastplate, and spread them upon the face of the wilderness. And the princes of Israel went, and brought them for the need of the work. And the clouds of heaven returned, and went to the garden of Eden, and took from thence choice aromatics, and oil of olives for the light, and pure balsam for the anointing oil, and for the sweet incense. Every man, a son of Israel, and every woman, a daughter of Israel, who was moved in heart, brought for all the work which the Lord by Moshe had commanded to be made. So brought the children of Israel the votive gift before the Lord. And Moshe said to the sons of Israel, See, the Lord hath ordained with a good name Bezalel bar Uri bar of the tribe of Jehudah, and hath filled him with the spirit of prophecy from before the Lord, in wisdom, in understanding, in knowledge, and in all handicraft, and to instruct artificers to work in gold, and in silver, and in brass, and in the cutting of precious stones, to perfect by them the work, and in the fabrication of wood, to work in all the work of artificers. Jerusalem. And in the cutting of precious stones for completion, and the workmanship of wood, to work in all the work of the artificer, and to teach our work to the rest of the artificers. He imparted skill to his heart, and to that of VAIYAKHEL of the tribe of Dan. He filled them with wisdom of heart to make all the work of the carpenter and the embroiderer, in hyacinth, and in purple, and in crimson, and in fine linen, and of the sewer, to fashion all the work, and to teach the workmen. 36. And Bezalel and Aholiab brought, and every man wise in heart, to whom the Lord had given wisdom and intelligence to understand and to make all the work for the service of the sanctuary, according to all that the Lord had commanded. And Moshe called Bezalel and Aholiab, and every man wise in heart, to whose heart the Lord had given wisdom, every one whose heart was moved to draw near unto the work itself. And they took from before Moshe all the separation that the children of Israel had brought for the work of the service of the sanctuary, to make it. And they still brought to him the voluntary gift, morning after morning, from the possessions. Jerusalem, the gift. And all the wise men who did all the work of the sanctuary came, each man from the work which he had done. And they said to Moshe, the people abound in bringing more than is enough from the service of the work which the Lord hath ordained. And Moshe commanded, and they made proclamation through the camp, saying, neither man nor woman may make any more work for the holy separation, and the people cease from bringing. For what had been done was according to the sufficiency of all the work, and they did it, and had more than enough. And all the wise in heart made the tabernacle 10 curtains of fine linen, and hyacinth, and purple, and scarlet, figured with cherubim, the work of the embroiderer. He made them. The length of one curtain 28 cubits, the sum of one curtain, the measure was one for all the curtains. And he conjoined 5 curtains one with another, and the other 5 curtains conjoined he one with another. And he made loops of hyacinth upon the edge of one curtain at the place of conjunction in the side, so made he in the side at the place of conjunction in the other curtain. Jerusalem. In the jointure 50 loops he made in one curtain, and 50 loops made he at the place of juncture of the edge of the second curtain. The loops were arranged one over against the other. Jerusalem. Answering to each other. And he made 50 taches of gold, and conjoined one curtain with another with the taches, and there was one tabernacle. And he made curtains of goat's hair to spread upon the tabernacle. 11 curtains he made them. The length of one curtain 30 cubits, and 4 cubits the breadth of one curtain, one measure for the 11 curtains. And he joined 5 curtains together, corresponding with the 5 books of the law, and 6 curtains together, corresponding with the 6 orders of the Mishnah. And he made 50 loops in the border of the curtain at the place of conjuncture, and 50 loops made he upon the border of the curtain at the second place of conjuncture. And he made taches of brass to compact the tabernacle, that it might become one. And he made a covering for the tabernacle of ram's skins reddened, and of purple skins to protect it above. And he made the boards of the tabernacle of cedar wood, standing up after the way of the plantation, 10 cubits the length of the board, and 1.5 cubits of a cubit the breadth of one board. Each board had 2 tenons arranged one side for the midst of the other side, and so did he for all the boards of the tabernacle. And he made the boards of the tabernacle 20 boards. On the side of the south wind, and 40 sockets of silver he made under the 20 boards, 2 sockets beneath one board for its 2 tenons, and 2 sockets under another board for its 2 tenons. And for the second side of the tabernacle on the north he made 20 boards, and the 40 sockets of silver, 2 sockets beneath one board, and 2 sockets beneath another board. Unto the border of the tabernacle westward he made 6 boards, and 2 boards made he at the corners of the tabernacle at their extremes. Jerusalem. At the declivities, and they were conjoined below, and joined together were they at the tops with one ring, so made he both of them at the 2 corners. Jerusalem. And they were twins. And 8 boards there were, and the sockets of silver, 16 sockets, 2 sockets, and 2 sockets under one board. And be made bars of cedar wood, 5 for the boards of one side of the tabernacle, and 5 bars for the boards of the second side of the tabernacle, and 5 bars for the boards of the tabernacle at the ends westward. And be made the middle bat to mortise in the midst of the boards from end to end of the tree which our father Abraham planted in Beerah of Sheba, praying there in the name of the word of the Lord, the everlasting God. Jerusalem. And he made the middle board to go along among the boards, and the boards he overlaid with gold, and the rings be made of gold, as the place for the bars, and he covered the bars with gold. And he made the veil of hyacinth, and purple, and crimson, and fine linen twine, the work of the artificer, figured with cherubim he made it. And he made for it 4 pillars of cedar wood, and covered them with gold, and the hooks of gold, and cast for them 4 sockets of silver. And he made a curtain for the door of the tabernacle, of hyacinth, and purple, and crimson, and fine linen twine, the work of the embroiderer, and its 5 pillars, and the 5 hooks, and be covered the capitals and the joinings with gold, and the 5 bases with brass. 37. And Bezalel made the ark of cedar wood, 2 cubits and a half its length, and a cubit and half its breadth, and a cubit and half its height. And he covered it with pure gold within and without, and made for it a crown of gold round about. And he cast for it 4 golden rings upon its 4 corners, 2 rings upon one side of it, and 2 rings upon its second side. And he made the staves of it of cedar wood, and covered them with gold, and put the staves into the rings upon the sides of the ark, to carry the ark. And he made the mercy seat of pure gold, 2 cubits and a half the length, and a cubit and half its breadth, but its thickness was a span. And be made 2 cherubim of pure gold, beaten made be them on the 2 sides of the mercy seat. 1 cherubim on this side, and 1 cherubim on the right side, of beaten work, and the cherubim were face to face. They were not separated from the mercy seat, but by the wisdom of the spirit of prophecy, he made the cherubim on its 2 sides. And the cherubim spread forth their wings, with the heads upward, overshadowing the mercy seat with the wings, and the faces were toward each other. Over against the mercy seat were the faces of the cherubim. And he made the table of cedar wood, 2 cubits its length, and a cubit its breadth, and a cubit and half its height. And he covered it with pure gold, and made for it a golden crown round about. And he made a border for it, its height a span round about. Jerusalem. A border a span around, and he made a coronal of gold for the surrounding border, and he made a crown of gold for the border round about. And he cast for it 4 golden rings, and set the rings upon the 4 corners of its 4 feet. Over against the border were the rings, the place for the staves in carrying the table. And he made the staves of cedar wood, and covered them with gold, for carrying the table. And he made the vessels to be upon the table, its dishes, and its bowls, and its measures, and its cups for the lavings, 1 of pure gold. And he made the candelabrum of pure gold, beaten made he the candelabrum, its base and its shaft, its cups, its apples, and its lilies were of the same. And 6 branches came forth from its sides, 3 branches of the candelabrum on one side, and 3 branches of the candelabrum on the second side. 3 embossed cups with the figurations on one branch, with the apple and lily, and 3 embossed cups with the figurations on the other branch, with the apple and lily. So the 6 branches which proceeded from the candelabrum. And upon the candelabrum 4 embossed cups with the figurations of apples and lilies. And an apple was under 2 branches of the same, and an apple under 2 branches of the same, and an apple under 2 branches of the same, for the 6 branches that proceeded from it. Their apples and the branches were of the same, all of it one beaten work of pure gold. Of a talent of pure gold made he it and all its vessels. And he made the altar of sweet incense of cedar wood, a cubit its length, and a cubit its breadth, 4 square, and 2 cubits was its height, its 2 upright horns were of the same. And he overlaid it with pure gold, its top and its sides round about, and its horns, and he made for it a golden crown round about. And 2 golden rings he made for it under its crown, at its 2 corners, upon its 2 sides, to be the place of the staves by which to carry it. And the staves be made of cedar wood, and overlaid them with gold. And he made the sacred oil of anointing and the pure sweet incense, the work of the perfumer. 38. And he made the altar of burnt offering of cedar wood, 5 cubits its length, and 5 cubits its breadth, 4 square, and 3 cubits its height. And he made horns upon its 4 corners, of the same were its horns stretching upward, and he covered it with brass. And he made all the vessels of the altar, the pots, and the cleaners, and the basins, and the flesh hooks, and the pans, all its vessels made he of brass. And he made the grate of the altar of brass and network under the border beneath, reaching to the middle of it, to receive the cinders and bones that fell from the altar. And he cast 4 rings, for the 4 corners of the grate of brass, to be places for the staves. And he made the staves of cedar wood, and coated them with brass. And he put the staves into the rings, upon the sides of the altar, to carry it by them, hollow with boards, and filled with earth made it. And he made the brass and laver, and its foundation of brass, for the brass and mirrors of the pious women, who, at the season, came to pray at the door of the tabernacle of appointment, standing with their oblations, giving thanks and confession, and returning to the husbands, the mothers of righteous children, who had been purified from the uncleanness of the blood. Jerusalem. And he made the laver of brass, and a base thereof of brass, with the mirrors of the pious women who were devout at the gate of the tabernacle of appointment. And he made the court on the southern side. The curtains of the court made he with fine linen, 100 cubits, the pillars 20, and the bases 20 of brass, the hooks of the pillars and the rods were of silver. And on the north side 100 cubits, the pillars 20, and the bases 20 of brass, the hooks of the pillars and the rods were of silver. And the curtains of the western side 50 cubits, the pillars 10, and the bases 10, the hooks of the pillars and the rods were of silver. And on the east side eastward 50 cubits. And the curtains were 15 cubits on a side, the pillars 3, and the bases 3. And for the second side of the door of the court, here and there, at the gate of the court, curtains 15 cubits, the pillars 3 and the bases 3. All the curtains of the court round about were of fine linen twined, and the bases of the pillars were of brass. The hooks of the pillars and the rods of silver, and the overlaying of the capitals silver, and the rods silver, so were made all the pillars of the court. And the hanging for the gate of the court was made of embroidered work in hyacinth, and purple, and crimson, and fine linen twine, and 20 cubits was the length, and the height on its breadth 5 cubits, corresponding with the curtains of the court. And the pillars 4, and the bases 4, of brass, the hooks silver, and the overlaying of the capitals, and the rods, silver. But all the pins of the tabernacle, and of the court round about, were of brass.